Right across Western Australia, we're driving you home on the Spirit. And to the truckies listening this afternoon, what we're about to discuss will certainly be of interest to you. Well, I guess not just truckies, but all motorists. A new report has revealed we're seeing a downward trend in major heavy vehicle crashes, with the number of fatal accidents the lowest in nearly 2 decades. Joining us right now is Adam Gibson. He is the report's author and a road safety specialist. He'll shed some light on some of its major findings. Adam, good afternoon. Welcome to Spirit Drive.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me.
So talk us through it. What were some of the factors you were looking at while compiling this report?
So what we use here is we use our claims data from accidents over $50,000 in value that occurred in 2017. And what we find is we're seeing generally a very positive trend. As a start, as you said, we had the lowest number of heavy vehicle involved fatalities on record in 2018, which was 178 fatalities. Now, obviously, the goal has to be zero. No fatality on the road is acceptable.
Yeah.
But over the time that we've been doing this report, those 16 years, we've seen that number drop from around 280 to less than 180. And at the same time, the freight task in Australia has increased by 60%. So that's a real success in delivering safety outcomes.
So we are reading in this report the number of fatal truck crashes has dropped 14% in 2 years. So if that trajectory continues, we're looking at the possibility of zero deaths within a generation. Is that zero aim really achievable?
Look, we fully expect at some point diminishing returns has to kick in, but conventional wisdom says it should have kicked in already, and yet we've managed to maintain an almost linear improvement in the road safety performance of the heavy vehicle industry. So I think as an industry, we have not just the opportunity, but also the moral imperative to maintain that linear improvement as long as we can. Taking a reasonably conservative model around that diminishing returns, it might not be the 2032 that the linear trend predicts. We might be talking 2050 before we get those last few fatalities that will keep occurring under control. But that's within grasp. That's the sort of time frame that we can really work towards and be proud of as an industry.
So Adam, why has the number of truck accident fatals reduced?
We've seen a lot of work from the road transport industry. Safer trucks, so safer cabs on the trucks themselves, but mostly safety technologies around protecting other road users. We've seen the rollout of mandatory ABS on all trucks in Australia, the adoption of what are called front under-run protection systems. All trucks sold in Australia since about 2010 have a bar across the front of the truck at a height that's designed to interact favourably with airbags and crumple zones. The majority, around 65% of those fatal heavy vehicle involved crashes are the fault of a third party, a light vehicle, a car.
Yeah.
So if we want to keep changing that number, it's very much about the interactions with cars, not about the trucks in isolation.
Okay, so let's break down the report as well. What were some of the interesting findings you found on a national and also state-by-state level, including what you saw in Western Australia?
So overall, there's some good news around fatigue. We've been reporting on fatigue for 16 years. At the start of that, we were seeing around a quarter of our heavy vehicle involved crashes resulting from fatigue. We saw the lowest ever level in this report, which is 9.8%. Western Australia is smack on the national average there. The best performing state was Victoria, with a risk of a fatigue crash around 60% lower than the national average.
Yeah.
The worst performing state was Queensland, 55% higher than the risk, either nationally or in Western Australia. We do see some issues in WA in particular. We see around twice the number of heavy vehicle thefts in Western Australia. Theft is not a big issue in heavy vehicle road transport, but Western Australia is the worst performing state for theft. The other area that was some significant concern was actually not a on-road issue. It was actually trucks and trailers rolling over whilst unloading. 40% of all of our rollover while tipping incidents happen within 250 kilometres of the CBD of Perth. And that's an issue around agricultural lime sand being used as a soil conditioner. And we were seeing almost one a week of these rollovers through the main season where that lime sand is being delivered and ploughed in. We need to work with our industry to see what we can do to address that. It's not a road safety problem, it's really more a workplace health and safety problem.
I understand the Australian Trucking Association has weighed in on these results. What kind of feedback have you been receiving?
They've been really positive. I mean, they've got an amazing attitude towards safety. The interest from both the ATA generally and their members has really been around the practical. It's not just, hey, we have a problem, but what specific things we can do. As an example, non-impact fire, so where trucks catch fire not as a result of a crash, is an ongoing problem in road transport. And we've got a lot of inquiries from operator on what practical things they can do. My advice there is really twofold. Most of these fires in engine bays and cabins start as a result of electrical issues, and that's generally the main power cable running to the starter motor. So you only need to inspect one part, make sure it's not rubbing against anything, make sure it's secured, and we can see a significant reduction in those fires. The other element is poor quality aftermarket electrical work. And what I recommend to operators, and it's advice I gave to an ATA member as little as 20 minutes ago, is if you're having work done in your truck on the electrical system, require that provider grabs some photographs, just camera phone photographs are more than enough, and that they provide them to you when they invoice you, and you make it a condition that you will not pay the invoice without those photographs. Because if we can hold the providers, the auto sparkies, to a quality standard where they know we can see their work, I think we'll see real improvements in that space.
While this news is all well and good in the lead up to the notoriously dangerous Easter long weekend, it's also not a time for complacency. What are you urging not just truckies, but all motorists across Western Australia to aim for on our roads?
The biggest thing is for everyone to get to their destinations and back home safe. Hopping in your car with your family is probably the most dangerous thing you'll ever do with your family. Give it the respect it deserves. Put away your phone, give the driving task your full attention, give the trucks that are on the road the space and the time they need to do their job. They're out there making sure there's hot cross buns and Easter eggs on the shelves. They need the space and the time to do that safely. Make sure you have rest breaks. A significant number of our fatal multi-vehicle crashes arise not from heavy vehicle driver fatigue, but from car drivers, and that's a real risk when people jump in the car for those long-distance road trips. Take your time. The most important thing is to get there safe.
It is certainly a positive report, positive news to take out of all this. Just finally, Adam, if people want to actually access the full report, where can they go?
So they can go to our website, www.nationaltransportinsurance.com.au, and they click through the link there. We have both a website version that sort of takes you on the journey through those safety statistics, and also the full 44-page PDF report.
Some good news in regards to road safety. Road safety specialist Adam Gibson, many thanks for your time on Spirit Drive this afternoon.
No, thank you.